The American and French Revolutions. The French Revolution was a violent exchange of leadership, whereas the American Revolution was a struggle for liberation. Both were exciting. The drama of the French Revolution and the intensity of the American Revolution. Volumes can be written on either of these historical events. Based on what I have learned about the French Revolution, this is one tragedy that could have been avoided by proper governing. In North America, freedom from Great Britain was on the mind of the colonist. Passion was required for victory in both revolts, but how their rulers were contented was very different. There are many differences in the ways the American Revolution and the French Revolution were fought. The American Revolutionary War was waged militia and military against the British military. The townspeople didn't wait on the Union Army to be formed. They gathered in churches and formed militias and took up arms to challenge the military might of England. The Yankee farmers who started this revolution responded quickly to any reported initiatives by the British Army. When red-coated soldiers threatened to shut down the town meeting at Salem, thousands of patriots faced them off. When the King's troops seized rebel magazines at Charlestown and Cambridge, great throngs of New Englanders, estimates range from 20,000 to 60,000, spurred by rumors that Boston had been bombarded, left their homes and headed towards the scene of action. According to eyewitnesses, for about 50 miles each way round there was an almost universal ferment, rising, seizing arms and actual march into Cambridge. They scarcely left half a dozen men in a town, unless old and decrepit. Raphael 47. The French Revolution was a revolt, in the truest sense of the word, against the king. In France, King Louis V and his wife Marie Antoinette was met with the tumult of their country's women in what has been dubbed the March on Versailles, a full-fledged riot, with the royal couple as the targets of the ravenous and infuriated crowd, getting unsatisfactory responses from city officials. As many as 7,000 women joined the march to Versailles, bringing with them cannons and a variety of smaller weapons. 20,000 National Guardsmen under the command of Lafayette responded to keep order, and members of the mob stormed the palace, killing several guards. Lafayette ultimately persuaded the king to accede to the demand of the crowd that the monarchy relocates to Paris. The French Revolution. Part 34. The French Revolution was more of a revolt of the people, and the American Revolution was a war for independence. The settlers in North America had it made. Newly acquired land, which meant food, money and hope for the future. Only one thing was missing: independence for the colonies. The war was a result of the political American Revolution. Colonists galvanized around the position that the Stamp Act of 1765, imposed by Parliament of Great Britain, was unconstitutional. The British Parliament insisted it had the right to tax colonists. The colonists claimed that, as they were British subjects, taxation without representation was illegal. The American colonists formed a unifying Continental Congress and a shadow government in each colony, though ostensibly claiming loyalty to the monarch and a place in the British Empire. American Revolutionary War. Part 2. Bottom line is, they didn't want to pay taxes to a government that ruled from afar. As a result, the Boston Tea Party occurred in 1773, and then a call to arms and eventually victory over the British. The French, after helping the Patriots with their revolution, had indignant Jacobins in their own country stirring up the people of France for the most important revolution in European history. The people of France were already used to having a king, so they only wanted a leader who was for the people. By many accounts, King Louis was indifferent to his followers' welfare, and his wife was a notorious spendthrift. The royal couple didn't rule from another country. Unlike the American Revolution, this one would be a domestic dispute. Ironically, the king himself opened the door to revolution, eager to weaken his rival, England. Louis V spent huge sums in support of the American rebels, and thereby overloaded the state's debt. It was not the size of the debt but the French king's inability to raise funds that put him in a bind. To restore his credit, Louis needed to raise taxes on the privileged classes. Tigner et al. 569. The two revolts were connected, by way of power and money. King Louis wanted to stifle the British Empire, a foe that France would lose to on the high seas. There has been much discussion regarding the correlation between the American Revolution and the French Revolution, which followed it such a short time later. The relationship is difficult to assess. Just before the Franco-American alliance in 1778, The finance minister Turgot opposed French involvement in the American war with Britain, warning the king that the first cannon shot would force the state into bankruptcy. Turgot was wrong. The war began and the money flowed out of the treasury, but no bankruptcy was declared. Between 1776 and 1783, France provided the United States with more than 40 million livres in financial aid, about a quarter of it in outright gifts. Itzerta 51-52. The French Revolution was fought bureaucratically and politically as much as it was with violence. When King Louis was captured, he was held prisoner in Paris to sign documents and change laws until his failed attempt at an escape, and a short time after that he was beheaded. In conclusion, I don't think the two revolts are actually comparable, except for the fact that they were revolts. Why they were fought and how they were fought was different. The French Revolution's end result was a guillotine-obsessed maniac and a dictator. The American Revolution concluded with a nation of colonists to govern themselves. The French Revolution was a violent exchange of leadership, whereas the American Revolution was a struggle for liberation. Thank you for watching, and please, like and subscribe.